Let's take you live to the disciplinary hearing.
That he did. And in addition to that, the referencing proof from the 5th of October. So we reserve our right to question him on that at your discretion, Chairperson.
You think it's convenient to interpose the CEO and recall him once they've looked at the report?
You know, I don't think anything, because what happens is that I'm sure that report would be sort of we would have extrapolated from this when we read. So, you know, I'd be happy for them to just finish. And yeah, I mean, the report is not going to talk anything outside of
All right, but if you want to recall him, you'll tell me when you get the report. Right, let's finish this witness here. Please proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairperson. Mr. Merlin, I just want to refer you again to page 120.
You mean Mr. Naika?
Mr. Naika. Mr. Merlin Naika.
120, yes?
Okay. So now, when you testified, I recall that you said you testified on the issue there in the bottom, the evidence, the email sent from Alfred Igwete on the 26th of October 2021, where he says here the time codes were not accurate and Nadiva did not respond, correct? Mm-hmm. Now, when Nadiva did not respond, was this raised with the senior at News Division that she didn't respond?
Not to my recollection. I think we would have defaulted to the standard process. So when that happens, News would update the FCC directly.
Can they tell me why was it still aired if the time codes were wrong?
So the time codes would have been communicated directly to the FCC and updated in real time.
So what you're telling me is that despite this email saying it's wrong, they were then updated with the FCC. So meaning corrected.
Correct.
By who at the FCC?
It would be the FCC operator.
Who is the FCC operator?
There's a shift of 13 people. I'd have to now go back and see who was on shift on that day.
Do you have proof of that?
I'd have to double check.
Okay.
Noting that we operate in an environment that does deal with live content as well. So when live broadcast happens, we take that directly from news. So it's a standard process in our operation. It says you update the time codes. In the case of Alfred, he works in advance because that's program acceptance, failing which it will be communicated directly to the control room.
So what you're telling me is that they were updated without news being informed?
It can only come from news, not our content. We don't know what's sitting on the tape.
Okay, all right. Can you give us the proof then, as part of the...
I would have to go and double check. Remember, we're working in a live environment, so a lot of this is communication on the telephone. It's SMSs, it's walking across to the FCC to update what is happening. Not everything is done on an email.
Now,
but Advocate Moodley, just can I understand, is the proposition you're putting to this witness is that when Mr. Nwepe writes, he says the time codes here were not accurate, so then he must now stop, check the content and satisfy himself that the content is accurate?
well, what I'm trying to establish from that...
Because I would have thought he wouldn't know what's happening on that. He wouldn't be able to decipher whether that news the content, he won't understand what the content is, because he's not in content, isn't it? He gets it and he airs it.
With regards to the chairperson, so it's one of two things. It's what he suggested that, it's from the FCC and they will attend to it. Or alternatively, did you then still air it? Because he didn't explain in leading that he still aired it. He explained now that he still aired it. But in addition to still airing it, why then, our question was it not referred to a senior at the news division if Nadiva didn't respond? And so that's where I was aligning with regards to the question. So that's why we just want evidence to show that if you then dealt with it with the FCC, show us the evidence to prove that. Otherwise, we'll be taking his word for it, Commissioner, Chairperson.
Take his commission word on what? That it came to him. He can't air it unless it came to him. You agree with me? I mean, he can't. It doesn't. It's not taken from. It's not plucked from the air. Somebody sent it to him, and then he airs it. So, are you saying Alfred was at fault here?
No, we're not saying that Alfred was at. Well, we're saying that there's no proof that it was raised to a senior person in the news division.
No, but he says he doesn't know. He doesn't. Do you know whether it was raised or not?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
It may have been raised telephonically.
But it's not an issue, isn't it? Well, I don't understand why it's an issue. That's what I'm trying to understand. Why is this an issue? It comes to him, he puts it in the system, it's air. No, what has Alfred done wrong?
You see, Chairperson, it's still an issue because the employee is being blamed for it.
Well, the employee is blamed for it because she's the head of the department who sends it to him. It should have been, once there was an interdict, it should have been taken off the system completely.
And then our point is that obviously it wasn't raised by someone senior, but he says that it was dealt with the FCC.
All right,
That's why we wanted evidence, Chairperson.
I don't understand where that evidence will take us, but it doesn't matter.
Now then, I just want to refer you, actually, before I even get there.
Is Nadiva around? Is she going to come give evidence? She must tell us why she sent it through. That's what the issue is. Yeah, all right. Please continue.
Thank you, Chair. With regards to the investigations that you conducted, around what date did you conduct these investigations?
I think it was following the 26th, after the 28th, so probably in the 27th, 28th, 29th.
October.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you look at page 122, of the employer's bundle, the WhatsApp screenshots, that's what you got in front of you. The employee will testify that she was not involved in any of your investigations. Do you agree?
Actually speculating. My report was based on what went to air. I didn't investigate people, I investigated the broadcast that happened against an ASRAN lock. So the system and the facts would have proven what went to air, what didn't go to air.
Your investigation obviously didn't include a report from her, correct?
No.
Now, she will testify she was upset because she had not seen any reports in the investigation, and then all of a sudden fingers are pointing at her. And that's what I put to you regarding those WhatsApp messages. Do you agree?
I'm not sure what your question is. My report, again, was related to what happened in the actual broadcast. I didn't reference people in any of my investigations. So when the WhatsApp came to me, it was cold. I was not aware that there was an issue other than the fact that I investigated a program that went to air and shouldn't have gone to air. I was not aware of the proceedings before us today.
So, Mr. Naika, I put to you, her concern stemming from those WhatsApp messages was that she was upset because she had not been involved in the process at all. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And now, just going back to the issue of Mr. Yan, the technician. I understand that you don't know who Yan is, but can you advise me why you did not uncover Yan's involvement in the matter?
I'm sorry. I mean, it's almost like asking me why I didn't find gold if I didn't say anything about gold. I didn't say anything about Yan. How can you answer a question about why you didn't investigate something that says I don't know?
Commissioner, can I respond?
But can I just get to the bottom of it? Did you investigate who Yan is?
No, Yan was raised afterwards in the mail, but we had uncovered there was a standard operating process for news to substitute content with a alphabetical index in the house number, which is not standard protocol in video entertainment. Because news is a separate division, it has been allowed to continue. As indicated, I will, by way of my submission, show you numerous incidences where news gives
Yes,
us
but that will come in your report, you've told me. But all I want to know at this stage is, you didn't investigate Yan, isn't it? That answers your question.
As the scribe, can I please ask him just to repeat that answer because I didn't get to write it down and I apologize. So you said something about to substitute content. So if you could just go
Yes.
on and tell me, and I appreciate it. Thank you for doing that.
So it has become standard operating procedure for news to substitute programs with an alphabetical character in the house number that was issued to them.
Yes.
And you said you will show.
So I've, in the course of the investigation, when it came up that there was a alphabet used in the house number, I asked the team to validate that that was standard process, and said yes it is, and I said give me examples of how it happened before, and they gave me a few examples. Those examples would be FCC sheets that arrived to us with alphabets in it, and actual files. I think one of the documents, we've got an FCC sheet, an ASRAN log, in fact, what actually went out to air with an alphabet used.
Sorry, I see you. Sorry, apologies. Sorry, apologies. Sorry.
Thank you, Chairperson. Can I continue?
Yes, please.
Thank you. The reason why I'm asking, why you didn't pick up Yan in your investigations, because our witnesses intend to explain this technician's involvement in figuring out that a code needed to be added to that episode that aired in order for it not to be a repeat. So that's why I'm asking you, why didn't you pick up who Yan was in investigation and report back about it?
Because it was a standard operating process from news to add alphabets in the house numbers prior to the 5th of October, prior to the 26th of October.
Okay, you made your
News,
point.
news have been doing this. News have been giving us house numbers that we have not assigned by adding an alphabet to it. So it was a standard process from news to replace a program with a new program, same house number, but add an alphabet at the end to make it appear as though it was a new file. Standard process. So when it came down that here's the new program, we followed the process they gave us. We looked at the file, is that the name of the file? We looked in the server, is that the name of the file that's referenced in the schedule? It aligned. It went to air.
Now, I put it to you, okay, just before Chairperson, can I just request that if my learned friend has an objection, please raise it with you. Just please.
Yes, thank you. So noted. Thank you.
Now, I put it to you that the news division does not add the letters to referencing, and our witnesses will testify that, as you just stated. Do you agree with me?
I disagree. I've stated that news give us those files. How do they give us those files? Number one, they're the only ones who can add files into the media grid. We don't have access to the media grid. So the incoming file with an alphanumeric value is issued by news. Number two, the FCC sheet, which is issued by news, has an alphanumeric character in it. It's not the house number that we issue.
Are all these processes documented?
I'm not sure about news's processes, but our processes are documented. And the evidence that I will show you shows what files we receive. These are the files that go out to air. They will be referenced in the FCC sheet. They will be referenced in the ASRON log, which is a confirmation of broadcast. It's an auditable system, and it will show you the alphanumeric values before the 26th of October, before the 5th of October. So we'll have to go into all of the records. I've got a few on my email. When I access my email, I'll submit them.
No further questions, Chairperson.
Thank you.
Reserve our right to call.
Thank you. Any re-examination?
Yeah, thank you. Can you purge content that emanates from news?
No.
Who purges content from news?
News.
This particular interdicted program, when was it ultimately purged?
I'm not sure. If the instruction didn't come from me, I wouldn't know.
So you remember that it was broadcast on the 26th?
Yes.
Is it still on the server, this information, this clip?
I'd have to check.
All right. No problem.
Yes. Can you make your report available this afternoon, please?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So you will be available Monday if they want to recall you, please. Thank you. Yes. Your next witness, please.
I think we're going to have to sort of ask for an adjournment, Chair, because then it's a completely new business covering completely different areas.
So you want to call him on? You prefer calling him on Monday?
Yeah, no. We need him today. I just need a moment or something because he's
Fine.
He's just.
I'm waiting here. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was under the impression that Monday we were not sitting, that it was Tuesday and Wednesday.
But your counsel says it's available Monday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we try and finish it on Monday.
We are available. Yeah.
Well, if you've just joined us, you're watching SA Today right here on the SABC News channel. What you're seeing now are visuals of a disciplinary hearing of the SABC News head, Phathiswa Magopeni. Now, earlier, the public broadcaster and the SABC head of news have not reached a resolution in the disciplinary hearing process being held in Sandton this afternoon. Magopeni, as you know, has pleaded not guilty to all charges leveled against her by the SABC. The head of news is facing charges of alleged negligence and bringing the public broadcaster into disrepute. We'll continue to give you those live proceedings as they happen in Sandton.